So, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, and welcome back to the Talking City podcast with myself. Again, not Joe Bray, it is Luke Walters, and if I'd known I was doing this morning, I would have had a shave. I am with Simon Bajkowski. I hope I said it right. I'm so sorry if I didn't.
It's fine. I refuse to shave, even when I know I'm coming on these podcasts, so it's fine.
Oh no! Yeah, I literally found out this morning. I was like, "Oh, I wish I did." I had to run out to test. I had to run out to Morrison's to buy a can of hairspray because I literally looked like a pineapple. Literally looked like I had a pineapple on my head. Honest to God, it was a mad old dash this morning.
Already upkeeping the podcast there.
Yeah, and just to make people aware, there are other brands of hairspray available, not just Weller. So yeah, there's a massive week of sport this week. Some really important games. Mainly, Wales are playing France on Friday in the Six Nations opening. 8:00 kickoff, and England are playing Ireland in Twickenham. As a Welshman, I'm very excited. As a Irishman, I'm quite nervous. But yeah, big week of sport.
Are you still excited now that Wales are really bad?
Oh, don't. Kind of.
Sorry, had to get that in there.
I'm Welsh. I love rugby through and through. So I could talk about rugby for days. But yeah, I think it'll be an interesting Six Nations. Interesting. As long as we don't finish last, I'm happy. But we've got a young team coming through. So speaking of new players coming through, nice little segue there.
Lovely.
Gabriels, Marmoush, City 3-1 against Chelsea. Bit of a result, that wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was really important to pick themselves up from Paris because the mood after Paris was so difficult. They'd led 2-0 after 50 minutes and on their way to qualifying for the Champions League, and then they just got absolutely pummeled. And you think, how do they pick themselves up again? And then the team news comes in for Chelsea, and they have not just Marmoush starting up front, but also Kusinov starting at the back. 2 new signings, and you think, wow. It will be interesting to see this. And then Kusinov had, I think it's fair to say, the worst first 5 minutes of a debut I have ever seen. It was really, really horrible, to the point where, he sort of played a 5-yard pass back to Edison in the 6th minute, and the home fans applauded him. The first 5 minutes had been that bad. Gave the ball away to Chelsea to score inside 3 minutes, then gave the ball away from kickoff, and then was given a yellow card for bringing down Cole Palmer, trying to stop him, then gave the ball away, and you're just thinking he looked like he wanted the ground to swallow him up, and it was not nice to watch. However, he recovered really well. The team recovered, and it goes on to be a big important victory. So it wasn't perfect. City still aren't perfect, but that is a top 4 rival they played, and they were comfortably the better team. So a very difficult week for City, and there may be longer repercussions from injuries and things like that, but it ended very positively. And sort of 5 minutes in, Kusinov would not have been thinking that it would end anywhere near as positively as it did. So it was quite nice.
So obviously Kusinov give away the first goal. Do you think that was just down to nerves, or?
Yeah, I think so. And not knowing. Yeah, and because sort of at the other end, I had a lively debate with a colleague because he thought Marmoush had been brilliant up front, and he was very lively, and he offered something different, but he kept being offside, and he was offside to tap in a ball that one of his teammates was going to tap in, who wasn't offside. So he cost City a goal in another way, but that's not as kind of obvious as when you try and head the ball back to the keeper and you only succeed in heading it straight to the opposition striker. So it was, I think it felt to me like the same thing. It was just not being in the right not being on the same wavelength as your teammates. And why would you be? But also, Kusinov has got the issue that he's from Uzbekistan, and the language barrier is quite something to overcome. It's not like the whole team speaks Russian, not like many of them speak French, where he's sort of played for a year and got a bit of French there. He's got a he's got a bit. It's funny because loads of people, Pep said afterwards, he doesn't speak English, so I couldn't say anything to him. And loads of people say couldn't speak anything to him. And then sort of we ended up speaking to his central defensive partner, Manu Akanji, after the game and sort of said, how do you deal with the language barrier? And Akanji said, oh, I speak to him in English. And you sort of thought, well, maybe that's the issue. So he does have a bit of English. He's got a bit of French, but nobody else has got Russian or Uzbek. So it is really hard. And he's only a kid as well. So yeah, first 5 minutes he will want to forget. But also sort of at half time, John Stones is warming up and you're thinking, it would have been horrible to take him off in the first half. It would have been not nice to take him off at half time. He stayed on 10 minutes into the second half, put in a few crunching tackles, and every City fan has come rushing to his defense. They're all like, some of them won't even have it that he had a bad game. They are that sort of in support of him. So it was a horrible 5 minutes for him, but he has sort of got even more love for his performance from the City fans than he could have ever expected, I think, if he'd played amazingly.
Yeah, good on him. Apart from the first 5 minutes, but good on him. So after Chelsea's first goal, after the opener, City really took control. How impressed were you with their response, and what stood out for you tactically?
I mean, it was kind of interesting that the start of the game was very sort of end to end and not what we're used to seeing from City. They slowed it down eventually, which is more like them, but they were still happy to go long, go straight from the goalkeeper to Erling Haaland. And that is where the important second goal came from. It's where the third goal came from. And even the first goal was a ball over the top for the right back to take into the box and then the left back to finish off. So what was impressive about City's performance, I think, is that it was kind of the main guys who you were expecting to be part of City's future in this rebuild that is sort of already underway, who took responsibility and said, we are going to win City the game. The link-up play between Ederson and Haaland is very, very good, and has been for a while. But Ederson's not had a great few months, and it's been looking like is he still part of the future? He showed why he's still so important to the team as a goalkeeper. Haaland scored, which and not just scored, but scored an important goal that puts it into a winning position, which is what you want. And then Foden continued his recent form with a very good goal at the end. So it was kind of like the players that you really felt needed to step up did, and enough of them did to get City the result, and comfortable really in the end.
So looking back at, I'm going to butcher his name. Sorry, Gavaldi. Have I got that right? Wrong? Gavaldi. In my head, it sounds right. I might have it wrong.
Guardiola.
I was so wrong. I was so yeah. So obviously, got the equaliser. What do you think his impact has been on the team so far?
Yeah, he's had a real interesting season, really, because he last season he unexpectedly became the goal hero towards the run-in. He's still kind of a guy who is, he arrived as a commanding centre-back and he never plays centre-back. He's always played left-back, and even with all the City centre-back worries, they kind of like, well, no, we'll keep him on the left, thanks, and we kind of need him on the left because we've got no one else. He was one of them attacking threats all game, and was getting quite frustrated that he wasn't able to finish one off, and then came the chance that meant he was he was able to. He's played so much this season, which is a credit to his fitness, but it has meant his performances haven't always been amazing because he's been kind of sucked into that vortex of playing too much. But he's done really well, and I think it's obvious to anyone that he is a big part of City's future. And he will be looking to kick on in the second half of the season and kind of really show why he is, as highly rated as he is.
Speaking of City's future, one guy that's never ever leaving City by the looks, Mr. Erling Haaland himself, got on the score sheet again. Let's talk about Haaland. His goal came from a mistake by Sanchez, but his positioning was excellent. What do you think just makes him so consistent in front of goal?
He must just be born with it. He works and works and works extremely hard, but to have that level of instinct, it really is something else. And it's kind of the control, and he's not often involved in the game, and he has to wait for his moments. But like, it's picking those moments to come alive, and then showing the ability really to know what to do and when. Sanchez had come out and was in no man's land and couldn't really get back, but it still wasn't a guarantee that Haaland was going to hold off the defender and then finish it over Sanchez. I think that's 26 goals for the season now, and like, people have been talking about him having a bad year and things like that, and it's like, he's got 26 goals and we're not in February yet, so you're looking at another 40 goal season, maybe 50 if he kicks on, which just shows how, like you say, consistent he is, but like ludicrously consistent, or consistently ludicrous.
Either which way, both seem to apply to him. But yeah, he's just an unstoppable machine at this point. What do you think makes him so effective in Pep's system? How does Pep's system suit Haaland, do you think?
It doesn't always suit the system. It suits him when he's got midfield runners and when he's got players coming through, and he's able to kind of sort of feel that players are close to him and play off them. He's always happier when he's hunting in packs and when he's got space to run. And he never really gets space to run too often. But when he's got players around him who can work with him, it just makes such a difference to him and to the team. And yeah, it's like you say, he's here forever. Like, there's never going to be a point where, like, do you know what? We might play without Haaland today. We've got the world's best striker in our squad. We might just not play him. So it's one of those where he will continue to do what he does, and there will kind of always be a bit of undercurrent of criticism, I reckon, but he won't care. He'll be scoring loads of goals.
And speaking of goals, the third goal, another player. You okay? You feeling better?
Yes, got that cough out. Fine.
Yeah. It's going around. It's the weather. 1 minute it's absolutely boiling. Next minute it's absolutely chucking it down here. And this office is so cold as well. I've got every blower I can find on. It's like my little edit studio is like a sauna. Yeah. So speaking of goals, another player that's hit a rich vein of form is Mr. Foden himself. Third goal, and great build up playing composure. How important do you think? I know Foden's always been important to the team, but how important do you think he is coming now? Obviously maturing as well into that complete player. Do you think?
Yeah, I think that's it. Like, he was amazing last season, but we kind of, because he was so strong in the second half of the season, you kind of forgot that his first half wasn't the strongest. Now the first half of this season has been weak. It's not been good at all. But he is showing that he is still capable of having a really good second half of the season. And when he's really good, he's better than pretty much every player on the planet. So, if City can get Foden to anywhere near the level he was, and if Foden can get Foden to anywhere near the level he was last season, All the things that we're talking about at the minute, sort of like, can they get top 4? Can they push for the Champions League or whatever? Instantly become more viable. Because it's been really bad losing Rodri through injury, but what has been worse is not having Foden as well. I think Pep said it the other week. He was like, we've lost the best player in the world and the best player in the league from last season. And that hasn't all been through injury from Foden, but he's just not been the same player. But he came back to that player, which, everyone's pretty happy to see.
So speaking of another team in blue, and I'm not talking about Cardiff City finally getting out of relegation zone and being 1 point behind Swansea in the Championship. Chelsea, from Chelsea's perspective, they seem to have moments of promise, but they couldn't capitalise really. What did you think they got wrong tactically?
I think they didn't. First of all, they didn't make the most of their start because they could have had more than one goal at the start, and they kind of weren't clinical enough. And Palmer, who been a lot of headlines about, and is a tremendous player, but just wasn't quite on it. They're in a sort of funny situation where they've got this sort of goalkeeper who they don't really say is part of their plans, but has to be part of their plans because they've nobody else, and they're sort of giving him confidence, but like as little confidence as you can give anyone when you're giving them confidence. It's that kind of thing. So he never seems to get any more confident or any better at what they want him to do. And you get situations like that City exploited. City played Chelsea last summer in pre-season and they absolutely battered them. And they played them on the first day of the season and they were much better again. But it's been a surprise then to see Chelsea in the top 4 and City not. But I think come the end of the season, this game kind of showed that City should be in the top 4 and Chelsea may not be, because they just might not have the strength. Like they've never, is Jackson a number 9 that can take them to the top 4? I'm not sure if they're sure. There's a few questions over Chelsea at the minute that there weren't maybe a few weeks ago.
So how important do you think this win was in the context of the league and just for Man City's season?
Yeah, enormous, really. It was so, like I say, it was so demoralizing in Paris for them, having had the lead and then thrown it away, and then to concede within 2 minutes. It's what they've done all season, right? They've just not been good at recovering from bad moments. And here was another one right in front of their own fans, new signing, what's going to happen? And they bounced back and they got the result that they needed to get. And I think that is part of what's been missing this season. And it does kind of show them, because when they won a few games and Pep said, do not think we're back at all. But you're sort of wondering, how back are they? And every time they win a game, you think, well, they're a little more back, or they play well, a little more. And Brentford and Ipswich the week before were positives on the whole. And then they went to Paris and went 2-0 up, and you thought, oh, they really are back. And then by the end of the match, you're like, no, they've played a good team and they've got battered. So Chelsea are a good team. So what are they going to do against Chelsea? And they've come through it. And that will give belief to the players to be like, look, we can get these results. And they've got a lot of tough games coming up. They've got a must-win game on Wednesday night, and then they've got Arsenal away on Sunday. So they're not getting any easier, the games in February. It's a pretty brutal run. But they are able to take the confidence from the Chelsea game to say, and when a bad thing happens on Wednesday or on Sunday, they can maybe react better to when they hadn't played Chelsea and hadn't gone through that.
So what do you think the squad would look like for Wednesday, for the Champions League?
Well, it's of course the new signings cannot play in the Champions League. So no Kusinov, no Marmoush, and no Rage. And John Stones will be there. It was sort of, it was a shame for Kusinov because he only played against Chelsea because John Stones, there is no confidence that John Stones will be able to play 90 minutes against Chelsea on Saturday and then 90 minutes against Club Brugge on Wednesday. And Club Brugge is the bigger game, so they needed to rest Stones for Wednesday, which is mad because he's played no football at all, but he just keeps getting injured. So Stones is going to be the key person, and if he's fit, he will play with Akanji and Gvardiol and Nunes or Lewis, and that will be so much more solid as a backline, and they won't have to worry about sort of any nerves from any of the newer players. So Stones is going to be the big one for Wednesday, I think.
So I was going to say, how important is Stones right now to this team?
Yeah, well, I mean, he's not important at all in the sense of they haven't been able to rely on him all season. But when he is fit, he's still seen. You know, that 2023 Champions League final performance was an all timer. And when he is fit and in form, he is, you know, one of the best players in the league. There's no stopping him. He's just not been able to do it for too long, and he's not been able to keep himself fit for so long, to the frustration of everybody, really. You know, Guardiola at the weekend was kind of putting his fitness on having to play Kusinov, saying, you know, it's not Kusinov's fault that he had to play today. It's because Stones couldn't be relied on. You know, City would dearly love to get back to a position where they can rely on him. But Wednesday is going to have to be the start of a long old journey to him doing that, because he's just not been able to keep his body clear of injuries, really.
You actually just absolutely broke my heart when you said John Stones is an old timer, because his birthday is 2 days before mine. So that absolutely just, I was like, oh no.
Oh, I said all timer, don't worry.
Oh, I thought you said old timer. Oh my God.
No.
That's all right then. Oh,
but you are old.
I had a bit of I'm just turned 30 last year, so it's fine. So yeah, this Bruges game is absolutely massive for City on Wednesday. Absolutely massive. I don't think it can be understated. How do you expect him to go about it?
Nervously. I mean, you maybe think they have to come out and try and have a really fast start and stun Bruges and get the crowd up and get everything going, because you know, it's nervous enough for the team that it has gone to match day 8 of 8 for them to and still be outside the top 24 to qualify. But it's going to be absolute carnage on Wednesday. There's, you know, 18 Champions League matches happening simultaneously as this 36 team table changes by the second. City know if we beat Bruges, we go through. That's it. That's all they need to think about. They just need to kind of take themselves out of any of the other drama that's going on and just think we need to win one game of football on Wednesday, and that's it. And just, you know, I don't think anyone would think that Bruges are a stronger team as City. They've not got a stronger 11. They've not got a stronger squad, but neither have Juventus or PSG or Sporting or Feyenoord, and they all got results against City in the Champions League this season. So, you know, they just need to kind of remember who they are almost, and put in the work that means that they are able to go through. But it's going to be tense.
Yeah. I see City getting through. They should do. Hopefully they do. They should do. I mean, they got this.
Yeah,
they got the team there.
It would be crazy if they didn't get through. It would be absolutely mad. It would be one of the biggest shocks going. You know, they won the competition 2 years ago, and then to not make it through when they've had so many chances in this group stage. It would be, you know, undoubtedly one of the low points of Guardiola's career, probably, because he's known for the Champions League and he's won it 3 times now, and you know, he has this famed record that he enjoys of always getting so far. To get knocked out in the groups when you've had 8 chances to go through would be a shocking indictment on how bad City have been this season. But they should go through. And then once they're through, nobody can rule them out for winning the whole thing. So they just need to get through Wednesday and hope that things turn up and everyone can forget about them nearly going out.
No, I think they should. The strength is there, but hey, that's football. If everything was told as a story, it'd be a film, wouldn't it? And that's the first film reference I've made this entire time, so I'm quite disappointed in myself, actually. In terms of transfer updates, I know we've had loads of come in recently. I'm like Marmoush. Anything else for anything else? Any Kyle Walker situation going on? Is Jack Grealish going to Inter? Any rumours kicking around in the stands?
Yeah, so I mean, Walker's just completed his move, but it's a loan move, so he'll probably be back at the end of the season. Grealish is staying. James McAtee might be on the move. He's still not had loads of minutes, and now Marmoush has come in and Bob's coming back. You kind of think there'll be less time for him. So he might want to move elsewhere, but then it's complicated because of the loan situation and can City loan him out, and there's a bit bubbling around that situation. City would like to keep him, but they can't offer him that he kind of would like or probably deserves. So that is a tricky one. I think the club are still pushing to try and sign more players. They're still looking at a midfielder for the final few days of the window. There has been interest in Cambiasso from Juventus as a wing back as well. I'm not sure that will get done, but it has been looked at this window at least. But yeah, I feel like now that they've done 3, they've got 3 over the line. I think they will look for a 4th and a 5th in this last week, but there's not as much urgency to get those done as there was the first 3, I think.
Well, it's nice to see one Manchester club that's been quite active in the transfer window this January. But yeah, I think we've covered everything I'd like to talk about. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, I think that's good. It's been quite a big Monday, yeah. And yeah, just it's another huge week for Manchester City.
Yes, certainly is. Yeah, well, good luck to everyone on Wednesday. I'm sure you're covering. Are you covering the game on Wednesday? You there?
Yes, yeah, we'll be there. Yeah.
I think the last time I was in City's ground, me and my mate went because we had freebies, and he's a Liverpool fan, and I think they drew 2-2 against Liverpool. We were in the City end, so we had to sit there like completely quiet the entire time. And I think I was eating a chicken balti pie. I had a great time. I don't know why I just told that. But yeah, that's it from us at the Talking City podcast on this Monday, the 27th. Again, it is a big week. City Bruges, England, Ireland, Wales, France, Scotland, Italy, Six Nations week, Champions League week, Arsenal, City. It's a big week of sport coming ahead. Thank you, Simon, and I'm sure I'll see you again during the week.
Yes. Yeah.
And for everyone listening and watching on YouTube, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you're listening on Spotify or any of the other platforms, then also give us a like, give us a follow, give us a share. Make sure everyone knows that we are Talking City. I have been Luke Walters, and I will see you again soon.